Hello, beautiful boss babes. Are you ready to chase life with Kelly? Well, I'm your host, Kelly Chase, and I'm so excited you're here. We are going to talk about all things love, dating, relationships, money mindset. We're going to dive deep into self-love, worthiness. I am going to bring on some incredibly empowering guests. We're going to have fun, we're going to laugh, and perhaps we're even going to shed some tears together. I am here to empower you, inspire you, and motivate you to create the life you crave. I am so excited for today's episode. Let's dive in. Hi, babes. Welcome back to the show. Okay, so I have such a neat guest on with me today. I actually met her at a women's, I love to call it a women's empowerment event because that's what it did for me. It was like an empowerment event, but just women entrepreneurs, women just really wanting to step up to that next level. And this woman actually leveled me up and just touched my soul on levels I didn't know existed. So I wanted to introduce her to you all. And if there's obviously any resonation, alignment, anything like that, feel like I want you to follow her. I want you to work with her. She does some soul work and it's beautiful and it's extremely healing and just beneficial. And yeah, I could just go on and on. So before I do that, let me introduce Miss Jordan to the show. Hi.
Hi. Thank you for having me. Before we get into it, I just want to give a love back to your audience. I know a lot of your audience comes from the show, and then you have audience from social media. But something that I want to express, I've worked with a lot of celebrities and I've seen a lot of different reality TV experiences and things like that. And what I love about you and why this audience is so lucky to have you is that even through a certain amount of fame, even through exposure through media, you stay heart-centered. You stay heart-centered and you bring with a purpose, intention for growth and empowerment for your audience. And not only that, you walk the talk by setting the example on or off TV of grace, of intentionality. It's hard to do. It's hard to do. And so I really want to share, first, I'm so grateful to be here. I hope that your audience receives the medicine, the magic that they need to ignite themselves. And I'm grateful just to be in your presence because you are such a walking example of what we call the work. And in the self-development community and the spiritual community, there are so many terms that have nothing but lip service. There's so many bypassing terms. And it's very rare that you find someone who is really walking their talk. And so I just want to honor you for that and recognize you for that. And for everyone listening, keep listening to Chase Life with Kelly, because chasing your life, what does that mean? Is it just a pun on her name? No. She's showing you how to elevate your frequency. She's showing you how to live with a more intentional capacity, and continuing to tune into her is following the path of someone who's walking their talk. And I think it's important that they hear that from someone outside of you.
Thank you. Thank you.
You're welcome.
You made me cry. Thank you.
That's okay. I do that sometimes.
Yeah, I know. That was my first experience with you. I cried a lot. No, thank you very much. I know I just started my period too, so I'm just hormonal.
Yeah, we're in it. Amazing.
Oh my gosh. No, it's beautiful. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. Sometimes I get, I feel like we can all, if we're not strong in our core. And I feel like, although, yes, I am walking the talk, there are times when I'm out of alignment and I am not as connected as I would like to be. And I've seen the results. I've seen what that has done for me. And I'm like, oh gosh, I know I know why that's happening. I know what's going on, because I'm a huge believer in our thoughts create a reality. And so when I'm not in alignment and I'm shifted and I'm really disconnected from my purpose, as I have been since the show has aired, here and there throughout, I want to say that doing the podcast and continuing to show up on social media and create the content and things like that, that's what brings me back to my purpose. Because otherwise there is a lot of noise. There's a lot of comparing myself to other people, my castmates, other reality TV people. I've even compared myself to like actual like A-list celebrities. I'm like, Kelly, piped out.
So I would love to reflect on that. And I know you want to you want me to introduce myself and stuff, but it's so hot that I want to hit it. So first of all, welcome to humaning.
Yeah, right.
That's what we're here for. We're not humans trying to get spiritual or get better. We're spirits here to like experience.
Right.
And so every ego gets such a bad rap, but like your ego and what you're experiencing in those human moments, it's just part of the expression that you're here to discover. Like that's normal.
Yeah.
It's fine. Yeah. And also, like, let's talk about the concept of limitlessness. You can be an A-list celebrity by any right. You probably are to some people.
Yeah, totally.
And so when you get in this comparison and when you get in this and it feels like icky, you get to shift the narrative. Like I tell my girls, like when you feel that, like in your tummy, it's like a jealousy, right? Mm-hmm. And it's like a FOMO and a comparisonitis. All it is inspiration. It's a mirror for the potential that you have lying dormant that you get to bring like full surface. So utilizing that trigger, that charge of comparisonitis, jealousy, impostor syndrome to, oh wait, she has that. I have that. I feel that I have that. And I feel that I'm not playing full out.
Yeah.
That's where that's coming from.
Totally. Absolutely. I love that.
Yeah.
It is. I know I'm always like, it's just the gap. It's the gap from like maybe what I want to be doing or who I'm stepping into, who I really would like to become and where I'm at now. So I have to like conscientiously remind myself of that. And it's humbling.
Yeah. And you know, it's all a matter of perspective too. We get these concepts in our head of like where we want to be and where we're at now and how far the distance is and what that looks like and what it'll look like on the other side. Jennifer Aniston. What's her ex-husband's name? His first name's Justin, but what's his last name? Do you know who I'm talking about?
Oh gosh, no. I was like Brad Pitt.
yeah. So not Brad Pitt. So, but the one after, he played in that movie, like the hippie movie, where he was like the cult leader, and she was like at that. Do you know what I'm talking about?
I don't. I mean, I'm sure I know a picture of him, but like
Justin Theroux.
Oh, okay. Yes. Okay.
Yes. So at my house in Mexico, he's my next door neighbor.
Oh. Okay.
And this is, I don't even know his last name because it's all conceptual. Like, here's the thing. He is an A-list celebrity. I don't even know his last name. Like, I know him as Justin. He has his dog Kuma. We throw her treats over the fence. Like, we talk. I'm really sad they're divorced because she shares my birthday and I was really hoping like she would just appear one day, right? Also conceptual. But the point is, like, to some people, he's like a huge, huge, huge deal. And it's all a matter of like context.
Yeah.
And so, you know, when you're saying like comparing myself to A-list celebrities and sharing like slow your roll, why? You are in their level in some capacity. Like you don't even know how maybe some of them are even like looking at you.
Right.
I'm feeling FOMO syndrome, you know?
It's true. It's definitely true. I know. Well, and I feel like sometimes I get that reminder when, you know, maybe I don't know, someone like responds to my Instagram story and I'll respond back and they're like, oh my God, like, I can't believe you even responded. I'm like, oh yeah. Yeah, I'm a human. I'm going to be kind. but I'm like, oh yeah, I guess they think, I don't know. It's just like, it was something that even like last year I was going through a mentorship program and we were talking about self-image and my mentor was like, you really like, you have a new title. And I know that it was handed to you very quickly, but there are people out there that consider you famous and consider you a celebrity and things like that. And I know it's been really hard for you to accept that. And I was like, it really has, like, because I just don't feel much different except for the opportunities that it's given me, you know, but like, I'm not like making millions of dollars and I'm not like, so I don't like, I'm not living a different type of lifestyle in a way. It's connected me yet. Exactly. It's connected me with a handful of amazing people, of course. And also I still feel the same. So that's why I was like, well, I don't feel any different. So how can I like really truly step into that and accept it? But over the last year, I've been working on it. So that's all I can do.
I mean, everybody shits.
Yeah. I know.
Everybody shits. And so what's so interesting is like, and it happens to like everybody, even me, like I'm like, oh, Justin Theroux is not like a big deal. But because I didn't really follow him, had it been Brad Pitt, like her first husband, I would have lost my shit.
Right.
I would have been at the gym every day. I would have been trying to jump the fence. Like things would have happened. So I don't know how my marriage would be now. I love my husband, but he's like, I mean, you know, when he rides up on the horse of that scene in Legend of the Fall, like there's no shifting it, right? And so even like being a celebrity, going into spaces where you're now like meeting other celebrities and you're viewing them as above you,
right?
It's still like this sense of like being star-stricken.
Mm-hmm.
But then also you have these girls on Instagram, they're like, oh my God, you replied to me? Right? Did you ever watch the Real World Road Rules Challenge?
No, I never watched it. I knew someone that was on it, but I never watched it.
Okay. So I watched it like in college, and there was this boy, CT, on there.
Okay.
And during my first marriage, it was a little bit rocky. I knew I was going to be exiting it. I had like this firm belief with everything in my mind that like, if I could access him, I would be marrying him. And so back then I think Facebook just started, Instagram wasn't even there yet. And I'm like looking, I'm like commenting, and I'm like, anyone who knows this person that works for MTV and all these things. And it's interesting because my perspective, like my perspective then was like, it's so out of reach, right? Like you're so out of reach for some of these girls. Mm-hmm. And there was like an innate knowing in me that, oh no, I could have him if I desired, like truly. If I truly made effort. And have you ever read The Third Door by Alex Mannon?
No, what's that
Okay,
about?
so I highly recommend that book to everybody.
Okay.
So The Third Door is this book, and he came to speak to us. I was in a high-level mastermind, and he was one of our guest speakers one time. And so he was in college, he was in med school, and he decided that he didn't want to do that. And he threw it all to the wind to like write this book, and the book's called The Third Door. Okay. And it's him accessing celebrities. And he got interviews with like Steve Jobs, Oprah, Bill Gates, by a college student, by like being consistent of placing himself in the right place in the right time and having intention, and even being in places where like he would sneak in the back door after the event was over and like catch them in the back. Wow. But it's about, if the door's not there for you, right, create one. If you can't get in the front door, you can't get in because the front door is like A-list celebrities, people of purpose, influencers on social media, right? Mm-hmm. Of course I want you to speak at my event. Of course I want you here. Well, you're adding value from my perception. Right. And then the back door is people who maybe have a deeper financial pocket. I can come in because I can, even if I'm not a somebody. But the third door is different. The third door you create. And it's an intention. And so now looking back on that time with CT, and of course I'm on my third husband, I think I'm gonna cap it for a while or forever. But there could have been a third door there. And I had an innate knowing of it. But like my social conditioning and my upbringing and all the things are like, oh, that's not possible. Right? But there's an innate knowing. So it's coming back to like on every level, the women who observe you observing so-and-so and so on and so on, like back to innate worthiness and what's possible for me. What's possible for me. Yeah. I love that. I don't even know why this came up, but I'm obviously channeling because I'm like sweating my tits off. So, so God is coming through. Hello, everybody. I'm Jordan and I talked to God. I didn't introduce myself.
I know. Yeah. Yeah. So back to that. Yeah. So Jordan, please introduce yourself. And then I do have a little story to tell. So, but yeah, who are you? What do you do? Tell us your journey, like your story, like where'd you come from?
I am a girl from rural New Mexico. Okay. And that's all I am. That's all I am. And I'm also spirit running through a body. You know, I hate titles. I despise them. Yeah. The coaching industry, the self-development industry, and even the spirituality industry, it's becoming so overpopularized. Popularized, is that even a word?
Yeah, I think. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. It's coming like it's really popular, and there's like all this hoopla around it, and I'm gonna speak in like real rural New Mexican verbiage. Yeah. And I think sometimes going back to conceptuality, and that keeps coming up for me, it's like we think that it's going to be a thing, or I need this thing or whatever, or I am this thing. And then I'm placing value in myself. And so I do a lot of things. As we've discussed, I've worked with celebrities, semi-listers. I have considered myself, and it's on my website, like private medicine, women to the elite. Mm-hmm. I've also hosted, and I have an annual women's event in New Mexico. That's like really inexpensive. It's like $500 that tons of rural girls come from New Mexico and all over, you know, the US and some planet. And it's such diverse. And so it's like, what's a title? Am I a coach? Do I coach people? Sure. I guide people.
Yeah.
Back to themselves. I don't like the term coach. I don't like identifying with the title, but if I had to place a title on like what exactly I do, I would call myself like a soul surgeon. So it's deep work and surfacing your divinity, learning how to create a balance between your royalty and your humility, and elevating your frequency to do what you're here to do. Experience yourself as spirit running through you. Experience this life in this body.
Yeah.
And so I take private clients. I hold a couple of retreats, leadership embodiment retreats, like 2 a year. And then I have an annual event, but, and I'm a motivational speaker. So, you know, like the event where I met you, people will call me in and they call me like the stage activator. So it's like when people are trying to teach content, of business or of purpose or of whatever, I am the person that they call in to either open the heart so that they can fully receive, or to close it out so that they can like activate and integrate what they've learned. So that's kind of in a nutshell. And you know, I've had a varied background. I started out first I was the youngest court reporter ever in the state of New Mexico. Then I was an adult felony parole officer. Then I went back to beauty school and I had a hair salon, and then I became personal trainer, a professional fitness competitor. I won Bikini New Mexico, Bikini America, all the things. Then I had an entertainment magazine. Then I had a custom home building company and was a contractor and built $1 million homes in Albuquerque. And then I took a time out. I really, you know, my second marriage was super abusive, and I lost myself for a while, and that happens. And that's part of the human, it's part of the human essence. And so I got to remember who I am, and I got to create the common denominator. So everything that I had done, there was a common denominator. It was helping people. Even when I was doing hair, I don't like fucking doing hair.
Right.
Did not like doing it. I loved pouring wine in my fancy glasses. I loved my cute decorated salon with Sophia Loren hanging in my hot red antique couch. Like I loved that. But what I loved is a woman sitting in this chair, and you've heard that, like hairstylist or therapist, like telling me her heart, telling me her life, and me guiding her. Yeah. And so it became very apparent that first I needed to get my shit together, and then I needed to pay it forward. And so that's how I started working with women. And it started like as women's empowerment. And as my own spirituality continued to develop, or not develop, because I've always had it since a child. I mean, I talked to ghosts when I was 2. That's a whole other story. But as I continued to embrace it and choose it and wear it unapologetically, then I kind of morphed into more of a spiritual guide. So that's it in a nutshell. And I asked you if this was going to be on video, so I didn't have to pick my nose, and sure enough. I think you're giving me the sniffles.
I know, I'm sorry. Yeah, everybody, I'm a little sick. I came down with something, but we're okay.
So that's it in a nutshell.
Okay. No, I love that. Wow. Now I'm like, okay, tell me more about you talking to ghosts.
I mean, we can go into whatever you want.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I do want you to touch on that. Like what you remember, like the specific, like you have that memory. Because a lot of people, I would say a lot of people don't have memories that go back that far.
Yeah. So I have some memory, and then I have some reflection and representation from like my parents, but I was like a really odd child. So at 2 years old, my mom would take me to church. We were Methodist. We'd sit, you know, whatever pew back because we were always late. And I have 2-year-olds right now. I have 2-year-old twins. And I didn't realize until I had children, like what a huge deal this was and how offset it was. I would leave my mother in the middle of church leave her presence, leave her hand, go into the like middle aisle and just prance my ass like right in front of everybody, all the way to the front, and sit next to an 85-year-old man whose wife just died, and like hand and rub his back at age 2.
Oh.
And that's really interesting to me. Like my children would never do that. They're like, they see old people and they're like, ah, what is going on? And my children are highly intuitive and very sensitive. But yeah, I mean, throughout adolescence, I had many experiences of mediumship. And then somewhere through my first marriage, I kind of shut it off. And it was this space of feeling judged, feeling like I wanted to fit into to his family and their stature. We were in a small town. He was the popular boy. He married a girl from out of town. He had 2 older sisters and a mother. Didn't treat me very well. And I just like desired to fit in. And so I really closed off a lot of things. And when I transitioned out of that marriage and then into my second marriage, where I got completely groomed and I ended up in this horrible situation that I didn't even know how I mean, my dad wasn't abusive. I didn't grow up like this. People say, oh, well, if you had like a bad childhood, you're more prone. Like, no. I was strong, I was independent, I was all these things. And I ended up in a situation where I'm like, what the fuck? And so it was through like making a choice to dig myself out of that I slowly started like coming back to the surface and bringing my gifts back online. And it's kind of like when you've had enough, that you're like, I'm going to be who I am. I'm going to attract who actually loves me, because I can't be in a space of pain anymore.
Right.
And so, you know, a lot of my gifts have come online, and I used to do medium work professionally. And every sensitive soul is different. First of all, anyone can do it. It's all a matter of like clearing your mind and dropping into like a deep space of an essence of spirit. Mm-hmm. So anyone has experiences or coincidences or deja vus or feels things, right? So the only difference with me and many other people, especially like spiritual guides, is like I'm very attuned to them. I don't, nothing is by chance. I'm very attuned. So I'm very clear if I see something or I feel something, I know that it's real. I know that there's something there. And I used to do medium work, but for me, I found it harder to shield my own like essence and vibration. I had a client one time who, you know, she wanted to contact her husband. And I went into this medium work, and I mean, I charged like a good exchange for it, what I felt was appropriate, but I had done like grandmas and all these things. So I go into this, turns out her husband was severely abusive, had killed himself, and was like trying to still like hurt her, like through me. Like I didn't hurt her or anything, but I could feel like the heaviness, and it affected me. I mean, I got severely ill after. It affected my whole vibration. I was really scared, and I'm like, I don't want to feel like this. So do I see things? Do I hear things? Do I feel things? Yes. And it's not my profession of choice. Now, if I'm working with a private client and it's relative to their growth, I'll bring something in.
Okay.
If it's there, but I don't just be like, I'm not, you know, Teresa Caputo or anything.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Did, because of the fact that you fell ill because of that experience, is that why you're like, no, I don't want to do that?
Yeah. I mean, it just was clear that like my purpose was to help people become conscious and remember who they are from like an innate space. And if, you know, connecting to like the other side of the veil was important for their growth, then okay. But I'm not trying to like make money on talking to people's dead relatives. Like it doesn't align with me. There wasn't a purpose for me other than maybe giving like that person like some peace or some sense of heartfelt like closure, and not at risk of my essence.
Right. Right. I love that. Yeah, because you have to stay in alignment, you have to stay in your purpose, and you know what I mean? Like that's amazing. I love that. Okay. So speaking of that, and like I said, the experience that I had with you was just so profound. As I mentioned, I had never experienced anything like that. Granted, I don't know if I've ever actually had been to many like women's retreats either, kind of thing, or conferences like that. So, but yeah, so, and you'll be able to explain this better about what you did with us. But for my listeners, my perception and my experience there was she had us basically act out our different like archetypes per se. And like, it was wild. Like, I mean, like you had to be there. It was just so wild because like, you know, there was like a sexy archetype, and then there were like a seductress or goddess like archetype. But then there was one that was like very like in her power, but like almost like stern, or like, but however you wanted to like express this representation for yourself. And so everyone, and like literally we like cleared the room of like pushed the like tables and chairs away, and everyone was just like in this middle space. There's probably like 75 to 100 women in here, and we're all like just walking around. She's like, keep your head down, you know, for I think I don't remember if it was like for every archetype, but there was like one in particular. She was like, keep your head down, and you're just like walking, so all you could see is, if like to not bump into someone, is their feet basically, but you're like keeping your head down. That was like really cool. But there was like one, I mean, I just was like bawling, like crying the whole time. And I was like, and maybe it was like that really empowered one. I think that may have been it. Like, and I don't know the title, you'll be able to say that, but yeah, I think it was the like really empowered one. And I was like, wow, like, I don't think I've actually ever felt this way before. And it was just like this whole like emotional release came out of me. And I was like, what did she just do? Like, holy shit. And then didn't we, I want to say it was you who led the thing where we were
lined up.
Yeah,
but I want to reflect on your experience on the first part.
Okay.
So first of all, women are multifaceted.
Yeah.
We are multifaceted, and, you know, not bringing any political thing in here, but like, we're all observing like what's happening in Iran. We are multifaceted, and we by nature have the desire to express all of our facets. We're like diamonds. We want to shine. And we have been socially conditioned to suppress.
Yeah.
1, 2, 3, or more parts of us. We have been conditioned to, there are only pieces of you that are suitable to be fully loud in the world, right? So what I had you guys do, and it was a borrowed exercise actually from a dear brother of mine who we used to do a lot of soul work together, and he's assisted at my retreat, I've assisted at his. So I always like to give credit. His name's Kevin Orris. And it was an archetype embodiment. So moving through the energetic of dance, understanding how you feel in each facet. So it's the medicine woman, the mother, the lover, and the queen.
Yeah. And
I'm not sure which one, charged you the most, but I will say that the majority of charges come during the lover. Because as a society, we are so sexually suppressed.
Yeah.
And we observe it as wrong or bad unless we're like in this relationship. And so there's so many facets to that, and depending on the religion you grew up in and your upbringing and how your relationships are, like, women don't feel safe to be sensual.
Right.
But it's such an innate part of who we are. And so I always get like, and I play like Selena Gomez, Good on Me, for that one. And you guys have to hip thrust. And everyone's like crying. They're like, oh, I can feel like this. And it's like, yes. And not only can you, you're supposed to, because when all of these facets are activated, and there's many more than those 4 archetypes, but when you activate more and more facets, now you're coming full force into feminine power. So it's not a power of domination and overruling the masculine, and I have to be in control and forceful and hustle and work. It's a power of grace. It's a power of, I don't have to yell, I don't have to scream, I don't have to fight, I can just say no. It's a power of, I choose. Seduction is such a feminine power. Like, you see, I had a past life regression one time, and I know we're getting into all kinds of woo stuff, which was not my intention, but it's coming through some sharing. And it was in this certain lifetime or whatever. And I had this sister, and they were going to like kill this. She wasn't my blood sister. She was another family that was in my house. And so they were like going to like kill her. And so I like used like seduction to like talk a powerful man into like changing the ruling on the whole thing. And this is like a memory that I have from another life. If you believe in that. If you don't, just take it with a grain of salt. But even in this life, like, it doesn't mean you're going to fuck them. It's this power of using my voice, using my essence to manifest my desire.
Yeah.
I don't have to force. I don't have to ask. I don't have to beg. I don't have to crawl. I don't have to combat. I don't have to compromise. I just get to select. Right. So going into the lover a lot. So you guys did the medicine woman, the mother, the lover, and the queen. Yeah. And it's really powerful because so many people don't realize, like, moving your body, the energy that is transmitted, whether you're running or you're working out or you're whatever. Like, people think, oh, I'm going to work out to be in shape. Right. It's the wrong flag. That's why you're still fat.
Yeah.
No offense. No offense to fat girls. But I'm saying, like, you have to see it from a space of, I desire to, like, move the energy in my body. I desire wellness. You have to reverse engineer. Right. And then your body manifests into form.
Yes.
And I've been overweight and I've drank too much and I've been bikini America. Like, and I know that the only difference in those situations were how I was experiencing and how many facets I was suppressing. Because when they're all online, you come into full form of your greatness.
Wow. Yeah. It's
so let's talk about the other part.
Yeah. No, but it's so true. I like try and, I mean, granted, as you were saying earlier, it was like walk the talk. Like, that's the message that I try to say. Like, that was something coming from Love is Blind. Like, people have noticed that I've had a bit of a body transformation. And I mean, I had already lost 15 pounds and, I gained 30 pounds, lost 15 pounds, and I still had 10 to 15 left to go when we filmed Love is Blind. So, year and a half, 2 years after filming was when the show came out. And then I'm now the size that I am now. Like, I got back to my original normal size. And so that's very much a lot of questions that came to me. It was like, oh my God, like, what is your workout routine? Like, what do you do to stay in shape? And I'm like, y'all, I like go for walks and I eat a lot of vegetables and I do a lot of mindfulness work. Like, I reduce as much stress from my life as possible. Like, and that goes into, okay, what boundary do I need to put up today? And it's all about that. Like, it's all about just really honoring yourself. Hey, this isn't working for me. It could be the clutter in your house. It could be the workout that you're doing because you have to lose weight or whatever your goal is there. The goal should be, as you just expressed, to feel good, and you're moving the energy in your body. And that's what's making you feel good, is because the energy.
You're 100% accurate. And, I'll add something that's coming through is, like, you're a co-creator in your life. So regardless your religious background or not, at the end of the day, we are spirits here embodied in these bodies, and we get to co-create our life. Yeah. So, like, for me, environment is key. And I'll be totally honest. Like, I live half the time in New Mexico and then half the time in Mexico. I live in Puerto Aventuras, which is a small expat town just south of Playa del Carmen. It's phenomenal. And I love it here too. We're in the mountains, but it's very different. I didn't do anything. I ate pizza, pasta every day. We drink wine every single day. And I literally got back to bikini show shape in Puerto Aventuras. Because, first of all, in Mexico, they don't put toxins in our foods. That's a whole other thing. Right. Yeah. But also the environment. I'm waking up to the lagoon and the ocean and palm trees and walking, and I'm laughing with friends. And I don't even have a car there. I just have a golf cart, and I paint every Tuesday. And, like, the way I live my life is different. Here it's different. Here we're visiting family. Here we're trying to launch a business. Here it's cold, so we don't go outside a lot. Here we only have New Mexican food. And we're in a small mountain town, which I love, and it's touristy and it's cute, but it's our food is not of the quality. And literally coming back here, I gained like 30 pounds back. And I work out every day and I eat cleaner. But the environment is so key. And so what Kelly's talking about is not just like the environment, but how do you feel? Another book that I'll recommend is Neil Donald Walsh. It's called Conversations with God, book 1. And in that, he says, if you want to know the truth of a thing, look to how you feel about it. So what in your life is suppressing your facets? What in your life is saying no to one of the archetypes that you have by divine right? Remember, you are a mother, you are a medicine woman, you are a lover, you are a queen. What is getting put on the back burner? And how can you create your world to enhance and embody those archetypes by thriving. Like I don't like to drive. I don't want to drive. Doesn't mean I can't drive.
Right.
I don't want to, but I love getting in my golf cart with my margarita, and I have my babies in their car seats, and we're just going around the little community, and I go see my husband, I take him a burrito on the golf course. Like that's different.
Yeah.
And even getting in my car to go to the store here. So it's the stress is 100% it. Like, how are you experiencing stress in your field, and what can you do to eliminate that? Yeah. And I just had a conversation with a client. I have a private client yesterday. And we talked about, we were going through money mindset, but what we really talked about is like creating your state. I told her, you paid X amount for me for 2 years. A significant amount. My rate is significant for one-on-one. Mm-hmm. But she doesn't want to pay her house cleaner to come every week. She just wants to do every other week. I'm like, what? Yeah. Have her come every day. Pay her $20 a day to imagine just like being in a space where you walk in and everything's clean.
Yeah.
And you can drive, or you can work, or you can touch your daughter. Do you know what I mean? And so with my clients, this is stuff that we transition through, and I love her and she's doing great. And I'm sure she's going to grasp that concept, but it comes back to the same thing. How are you experiencing? Mm-hmm. And if it doesn't feel good in your body, that's not your truth. That's not what you desire.
Right. I feel that. I feel that multiple levels right now. I'm like, okay, you're right. There's certain things that I'm maybe giving energy to that I know it's not.
Right. A big one is like obligation. Oh, I should go to this friend's birthday party. Oh, I need to do this. Like I do podcast interviews with people I really like. And it sounds so bad, but people ask me and I'm like, it's not that I don't want to serve your audience. It's just that I know I'm not going to be vibing on there. And I don't want to bring half medicine because that's not what I do, you know? Mm-hmm. So where in your life do you just need to say no and gift more no's?
Right. Absolutely. I know. And one thing that I've recognized, there's back in 2017, 18, I want to say 180, 360 my life, whatever we want to call it. And just because I was at this place that I knew literally everything in my life needed to change. And this is the beginning of my whole self-love, spiritual awakening, self-love journey, spiritual awakening. And because I was like, everything that I'm doing up until this point up until 2017, it was just it was just like a cycle. I was caught on a hamster wheel. That's like what I felt, whether it was, dating or not dating, hooking up with boys that weren't choosing me, to rejection, emotionally unavailable, to working unfulfilled jobs, to constantly hustling and grinding for money, to binge drinking my face off on the weekends. And cleaning my house. Like I remember my mom probably for years was like, I don't understand why you don't have time to clean your house. Like that should be a priority before you go out with your friends. And I'm like, yeah, well, it's not. My friends are my priority, and disconnecting because I'm so I never was connected. I was never connected to myself. That's why I was attracting all these emotionally unavailable men, because I was emotionally unavailable myself. I was the fixer. So with that being said though, I did this whole I have to just stop. I stopped going out. I majorly significantly decreased my drinking. I may have went and had a couple of drinks once every 5 months versus 3 nights a week for years. I wasn't dating anyone. Granted, a year later in 2018 is when we filmed Love is Blind. So it was so interesting because even on the show, it wasn't announced this way, but everyone was always like, oh, y'all were the only couple that didn't actually have sex and were intimate and stuff. And it's because you didn't you weren't vibing with them and everything. And I was like, that's not true. We were vibing, but I made a commitment to myself prior to filming, the next guy I meet that I'm actually connecting with, I don't want to have sex with them until after I've been with them for 3 months. I gave myself that commitment. And he just happened to be the next guy I met. I was like, and I'm not doing it on the show. So, but I feel it was just so neat. It was neat. While also it was a lonely time because I excluded myself from a lot of things that I had prior had been probably just out of obligation. Well, I should do this. Or because I was so disconnected from self, I was just doing it. It felt like I was supposed to yeah, that's going to be fun because I didn't know anything different. One of the things prior to my whole like self-love journey also was I had like an event one time and someone asked me, I think it was like my sister's birthday, and she has like a different friend group, an eclectic friend group. And I think one of her friends had asked me like, oh, what do you like to do for fun? And my response came out so fast. And it was like, go drinking with my friends. And I felt extremely embarrassed by it because I was like, wow, all these people like play fucking musical instruments and like are so cool. And like, they actually have things going on in their life. And I was like, that's so cool. But I'm over here. I was like, go drinking with your friends. Like, that is not like a cool hobby. Like, what? So anyways, that was like a very big wake up call for me. That's something also needed to change. But why I was bringing that up is because I feel like, you know, at every level since then, since I decided to make changes, I've recognized when I start to not go backwards, but when maybe I am submerging myself too much and maybe isolating myself too much, that I'm like, okay, Kelly, we need to create the human balance back in. And so I'll go be social, and I'm like maybe drinking a little bit more than I had been or whatever. And so it's like I've been dancing between this like up level, and then I come back down a couple steps, and then I up level a few more, and then I come back down a couple of steps. But I feel like it's like it creates balance in my life. But I don't know. There's just something about it. Like I enjoy it. I enjoy the step down, while also I'm like, but Kelly, if you're really trying to radically make change in your life, you need to just keep climbing the steps. And I don't know. What's your thought on that?
So I have thoughts. I mean, again, first and foremost, like you're allowed to be human. Like we're all going to have regressions. We're going to have moments. I have a group called the Scarlet Circle. It's a 9-month program. And we study the Gospel of Mary Magdalene, which is one of the Gnostic Gospels that was suppressed from the Bible. And in there, she goes through the 7 powers of the ego. And the first power of the ego is darkness. And so it's the idea of separation and ignorance, right? And so we just went through this last week, and I told my girls, like, darkness is the easiest to transcend. Like you can pull yourself out of it. Yeah. And it's also the easiest to regress. Mm-hmm. And I shared with them a story where I was like sitting at my kid's birthday party, and there was a girl across the way, and she's like eating pizza, and I hated her fucking teeth. I was like so disgusted by this woman's teeth that I like could not find the God in her to save my life. I like texted my personal coach. And I'm like, I need to do a call. Like I'm turning hateful. Like I wanted to punch her in the face just because her teeth were so nasty. And I didn't know where it came from, except for like, we're human and we're going to regress, you know, back into the darkness. And I mean, my other thing is, you know, and I'll just share with you, since you asked openly, where are you afraid of potential? Like, where are you really afraid of potential? Because it goes back to this, like the same A-list thing that we talked about, right? You've experienced shift in your life from the amount of notoriety and excitement and publicity that you've had thus far. And I'm sure that there have been shifts. I'm sure you've lost friends. I'm sure there's things that have shifted. Mm-hmm. And so there's like a fear that can come down on you so if I move next level, whether it's in my popularity, in my finances, in my body, in whatever, what shifts? What shifts that I'm afraid of shifting? And we try to create an ROI. So we try to say, okay, well, if I lose this friend, or if I don't have this anymore, or if I can't go to the bowling alley and get fucked up on Thursday nights, then is that worth making $5,000 more a month? Is that worth it? And then we try to like talk to ourselves about this or that and balance the scale. And it's not this balance of like a healthy balance of human and spirit. It's this balance of my fear versus my fear. Right. And so it's actually just a space of, and this is part of the feminine power too, surrender. And people think surrender is just like giving up and like letting whatever the fuck happen. It's not. You can like very actively surrender. Like I am choosing to see how this works out. Right. Because here's something. When you're looking forward, everything behind you will still be there. Mm-hmm. If you think right now, there's probably not an ex you could call right now that wouldn't take you back. Think about it. Right. Well, yeah. if you seriously made effort, I mean, maybe not, maybe people fall in love, but I'm just saying that's one example You can always go back. You can go back to drinking on the weekends if you want.
Yeah.
So you're not missing anything by continuing to climb, because you're always going to have a place to fall back if you choose.
Right.
My parents are so, they have like a certain money mindset, and, you know, they were so, and I could feel it. They didn't share this, but I could feel like when I quit court reporting, they were like devastated because they paid for my college. I had my bachelor's before I was even 21. I got this. I was the youngest court reporter ever in New Mexico. I worked at district court. I had a corner office, made $35,000 a year, and I had benefits, and I like made it. Right? They were like so proud. My mom bought me all these Victoria's Secret suits when they used to make clothes. I still have one. I'm like, I'm gonna fit into it one day. It's a 00. It's like, they were so proud. And now I generate the income I generate, and I help women like worldwide. I've spoken on international stages, and they don't even compute like the difference. My mother one time told me, I don't even believe you. I think you just put everything on credit cards.
Yeah.
And it's not that they're not proud of me. It's not that, but they think like I'm fucking up my life. Like, are you saving for your taxes? Do you have health insurance? They like ask me, right. I'm like, Mom, I was making $35,000 a year. What?
Right.
And that was like made it. And it's part of like their programming and their mindset. So I don't know where I was exactly going with this, but I think I was going with, I still have that education.
Right.
In a worst case scenario.
Right.
I could buy a court reporting, a stenograph machine online. I could go apply at district court. I could freelance for attorneys, and I could make $35,000 a year, and I could probably get benefits if I needed to.
Right.
So it's the same concept.
Yeah.
But I prefer to only work on Tuesdays. I'm going to speak at a retreat in Cabo next week. My children get to travel everywhere. I'm free. I drink on Tuesdays if I decide.
Right.
I desire that. That's how I desire. So it's part of creating my life. And so you get to create. And so for you, where is the fear of potential? What shifts? And it's always, not just for you, but for anyone listening, it's almost always this fear of losing something. Yeah. Either a habit or a space or a partner or a friend. And so you can rest in the understanding that as I continue forward, I can step back whenever I want. Right.
It's so true. Huh. That is so true. You're right about like that. I've never even like used that analogy. Cause that's something, although never thought about it in my own terms, but like with my career, like yes, choosing the entrepreneurial route myself, you know, my parents also have that mindset. I mean, they're not entrepreneurs. And, so, you know, they have that very programming of, you know, go get a job to have that security and everything. And, you know, like even when what I was going to say is like, it's a common conversation of them saying, well, you can, you know, or I'll be like, well, I can always go back to corporate. I'll always go back to corporate. My mom's like, yeah, but the further away that you're out of corporate, it may be harder to get back in. And I'm like, well, in today's society, there's jobs going on everywhere. Like, I'm sure it'll be easy for me to get.
They don't understand. It's a different generation. It's a different mindset.
It is. But it's so funny because I'm like, Mom, you know, I know people who literally are multimillionaires, billionaires, maybe even. I'm like, I'm pretty sure that they don't need a corporate job to feel safe and for retirement. Like, and my mom's like, yeah, but they'll probably be working until like forever. And I'm like, or they're saving and they're investing and their investment properties are going to like pay off their retirement. Like they know what to do with money. That's why they're multimillionaires.
My mom even told me one time, she's like, you know, you can go back to school to be a doctor if you really want to be like really successful and money is important to you. And she like starts to do all this stuff about like rich people are so evil and all this. And I'm like, okay, the philanthropy of like some of my peers is phenomenal. And so I get so offended and I try not to be triggered. So talking about moving back into darkness and like regressing, I'm the spiritual essence. And I'm like, what the fuck are you talking about? You know? And so she's like, you can go back to school and be a doctor. And I'm like, Mother, doctors don't make what I make. And they also don't heal how I heal. Like,
yeah.
And she's like, oh, well, I guess your friends can afford to hire you. I'm like, well, yeah, I hope so.
Yeah. No, absolutely.
It's wild. But I love talking about this. And I love my mom. And like my parents provided a really great home. And they paid for school and they paid for our weddings, cash and all these things. But it's a completely different generation. There was no internet. There was no working from your laptop.
Right.
That's so foreign to them.
Yeah,
That
absolutely.
don't understand how. I'm like, well, you don't have to. When you learn how to use your smartphone, then I'll explain the rest to you.
I
You
know.
know. I'm sorry. Hopefully my mom doesn't listen to this one. She'll be like, you're talking so much shit.
No, I mean, but honestly, I mean, yes, I love and I'm so grateful for my mom. You know, it's funny because like she'll say things and I like would probably give her like a triggered response or whatever sometimes. And I'm like, I'll come back like 6 months later and like, okay, like I know, or not 6 months, but even like 6 days later. And in my head, I'm like, okay, well, I know she's just like looking out for me and like, I know it's fine, you know, like,
right.
like I'm grateful that she is looking out for me. There's people that don't have moms, you know, it's like, I'm very grateful for the love and support and the safety that she's projecting onto me, you know, like I really do. And I appreciate it. And yeah, there are times when I mean, like, after the show aired, like, I mean, over these last 2 years, I have, well, one, when the show aired, I was working a corporate job again, because I got myself in a financial pickle, and throughout my income has been kind of inconsistent. I know why. I know why, but I still, you know, didn't take the action that I needed to in certain ways. So the income is what it is, and it'll get better the more that I stay focused and I just get myself in this alignment, back in the alignment of everything. But no, it's just, it is an interesting thing, all the ways that I do life unconventionally. I mean, obviously everyone saw me on a TV show, do love and dating very unconventionally, but just like, you know, I'm 37. I'm like, how old am I? I'm 37 and I'm like, you know, never been married, have no kids. And, you know, it's always the conversation of like, oh, well, when I was your age, you know, I had a 12-year-old. And I'm like, that's great. Good for you, Mom.
All of our friends, their kids are like graduating. And I'm like, oh.
I know. It's crazy. I'm like, holy Christmas.
What is the new show is airing tonight?
Yeah, yes.
And
so
what is it about?
Yeah. So Reality of Love is the show. And so I think it's like a 6 to 8 episode thing, but I'm featured on one of the episodes, and that's how she did it. She has different reality TV stars on every different episode, and there's a different theme. So my theme is singles. So it's me and 3 other girls from reality shows that are, you know, she wanted to get the girls that are still single after being on a reality show. What has dating and love and relationships been like since being on a reality show? So it's a talk show format, and she gets to know like the real us. And so like, I loved it. I loved every second of it. I mean,
I'm excited to watch it, and I don't watch much TV, but when I saw it on your Insta, I was like, I'm gonna watch it. I can't wait.
Yeah. I'm like, I still have to figure out like how to watch it too, because I'm like, what's the app that it's like on? But yeah, I'm like super excited to watch it. But then we play a game in the middle of like the episode as well, and like trying to figure out if our she called it like our guidar, if our guidar is like on point or not, like if we can pick up like when a guy is saying something, or like basically we're like reading their Hinge, or no, not the Hinge, it wasn't Hinge, it was the HUD app, a different dating app. But anyways, we're like reading these guys' profiles, and then they're like in front of us, and we're like, now we're talking to them like almost like as if we're on a date in a sense. And we're trying to pick up like, okay, are they actually ready for love? Are they putting on a front? Are they putting on a show? And so it was really fun.
That's cool.
It was just cute. Yeah. So it was like a talk show, game show, but really getting to show up our personalities and everything. So I'm hoping that I'm very expressed as it was. I mean, we're like filming for 6 hours, and it's a 20-minute, you know, episode, or 20 or 30-minute episode.
Yeah.
So still, you're not gonna be able to like see everything, but yeah.
That's gonna be great. I'm sure you're gonna be great, and I'm sure you're gonna be like a good example on all the things.
Thank you. Yeah.
So you wanted to ask me about the other part where you guys lined up.
Oh yeah, I did. Okay. And thank you for bringing that question to me about like, what am I like afraid of, basically, my potential, because I'll journal on that later, because
I want to know. I know.
It probably
you know,
is.
to me and let me know.
It probably, I mean, I will gut my gut instinct. One of the things is probably the fact, like, because it was such a lonely time when I did that and removed myself and like up-leveled before, and I felt like I lost friends, that maybe it's that same thing where I'm afraid that that's going to happen again. And I'm like, God, I just like got them all back.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I mean,
but
the fear of potential is the most paralyzing fear.
yeah.
People think like, oh, I'm going to be afraid of failure, or this person's afraid of failure. Failure is not, people fail all the time. And then they get back up and they start over. Like,
Absolutely.
You've never heard a story as good as like the underdog or someone who started from rock bottom. So people don't care about failing.
Right.
They are afraid of potential.
Yeah.
What happens when I really make it? What happens when I'm really a millionaire? What happens when I really am an A-list celebrity? How does my world change?
Mm-hmm.
And how am I going to experience that? Is it something that I'm really going to desire? Or is it going to be, right? So we go back to like weighing the ROI.
Yeah.
And I'll just share that it's all bullshit.
Yeah.
It's all bullshit. Up level, do the things, make the money, be famous. Like your life is going to accommodate. Your life is going to fall in line with a new version of you. And guess what? The friends that fall off, they don't get to go with you.
Right.
They don't always stay there. I've had friends come back around. I mean, years later, I've had friends come back around and they've done the work on themselves and they show up correct in my life because it's a non-negotiable.
Right.
Right. And then also everything's energy. So it's taking space for what is supposed to be there. So if you have someone so the second power of the ego is clinging. So you have someone that's like, you're just like hanging on to, and you're like, oh, I know they're bringing me down. I don't want to go to her birthday, but I feel so bad. I don't want her blah, blah, blah. Fucking like release, like bless and release. Because she's holding space for like another woman who's going to come and like support you fully, who's going to show up for you, who's going to send you flowers when you're sad, who's going to like come to your birthday. And we don't realize. And one of my favorite memes, have you ever seen the one with Jesus like holding the big bear behind his back? And then the little boy's there with the bear and he's like, just trust me.
Yeah.
Right. And it's, again, I don't preach like a spiritual understanding of one essence. Like it can be applied to anything, but the universe, Jesus, source, God, whatever. Like if you're co-creating, that surrender, the feminine power of surrender is so powerful. Like that kid has no idea, but if he lets go of that little bear, like what he's going to receive is beyond.
So true. It's so true. Kelly, surrender more. Oh my God. No, I love that. Thank you. I know that was very valuable to a lot of people. It's so funny too. Like, when you're like, when you're not fully maybe walking the talk, but you start doing things, you're talking the talk, but you're not walking the walk. Like, I feel like, that just kind of just came up for me. So I'm going to be just honest with myself and you. It's like that happened because that is something like that I talk to my clients about. And granted, there's like always like a level of things, right? Like maybe there's a part of me that has been able to surrender and sacrifice and like move up and step into a level of potential, but it's like this next level of potential, right? And so it's like, okay, but there's another level of fear that comes with it. So, but it just came up because like I said, I like with the clients, like I'll be like, okay, like what also, like, are you afraid of your bigness? Are you actually, is your fear the failure? Is your fear actually being successful and like of your bigness and things like that? And I do talk to them about that. And I recognize that, but it's just, that just hit me in my gut to be like, well, Kelly, make sure you're doing it too.
Yeah. And also, there is a balance, there's a toggle, and it's not like this human and success. Like you can be both at the same time. So that's not the balance, but where the balance is, it's like continuing to stay motivated and knowing what your next level is while understanding fully that where you are right now is a moment in time that you previously prayed for.
Right. Absolutely.
So being able to, the easiest way to remove the fear of potential is reflecting back on what were my fears before and look at here I have arrived. And then also being like deep gratitude. Yeah. That makes the journey easier because then it's like, it's not clinging. It's not, I need something to be something. I get to be present in the here and now, knowing that this is the moment in time that I prayed for. So I'm going to bask in it. And as I bask in it and as I'm appreciative of it, and as I really tune into self and like my deeper desires, I just get to like, I don't have to quantum leap. I get to slowly ascend like into my next phase, staying in this present space.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. I love that. And the gratitude helps you bring that presence to you too. So love that. Okay. And we'll touch on the other experience that we had at this event was, we all got into lines, like separated, like 50 and 50. And then we had one girl in the middle, I believe. And she I think she.
Oh, wait.
The,
Wait, are you talking about when you sing to each other?
It wasn't when we were saying something to each other.
Okay, so you're talking about the circle.
Maybe it was yeah, I'm sorry. Yes, it was a circle. Yeah, but we also did the line thing too. Oh my God, we did so many things. Yeah. The circle. I think that was, I mean, they were both, everything was very, very powerful, but the circle was just like, I think everyone was like, just felt exactly what this woman, I mean, I think she was talking about rape or sexual assault of some sort. And like,
so multiple women came in. So it's a circle,
yeah.
and it's to bring resonance to the whole group. So we all think we're alone. We think I'm the only one that's done this. I'm the only one that's experienced this. Nobody understands me. I'm so lonely. And it can be something as deep as sexual trauma. It can just be like, I have $15 in my bank account.
Right.
Like it doesn't matter. But the point was like, so one girl would come in and she would share her struggle and like what's present for her. And then all of the women would step in to the circle as much as it resonates.
Yes, that was it.
And so some people would like take one step, some people would not move if it didn't resonate, and some people would go all the way in and touch the women.
Yes.
And it's really powerful because it makes you see either how much you're not alone or how in your head you are, right? So there's times where the women say something and nobody resonates, nobody goes in. And then she gets to reflect back on, okay, this is an internal struggle. This isn't my reality. Right? Or like I've experienced this and people come in and they flood her with compassion and they've all experienced it too. And then it's like this feeling of inclusivity. And that's also a borrowed exercise. I did that exercise in a women's circle when I lived in Costa Rica. We did a mastermind at this place on the east side called Punta Mona. It's a phenomenal place. You guys should look it up. And we did that women's circle, and it was so powerful for me, particularly because there was a girlfriend of mine. Can I give a gift?
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, there's a girlfriend of mine. Her name's Heart Sawyer. So she owns a company out of Bali. It's called the Royal Coats. And you guys can put Miss Jordan and you can get $20 off on the Royal Coats. So it's MISS Jordan. But so Heart Sawyer, this is before she owned Royal Coats. So she's there and we're doing this, this women's circle. And I was like attracted to her. Like I felt like I was like in awe of her. I felt inspired by her, sometimes jealous of her. And I also felt like this like deep pull, like a sister pull. And I never met this woman before. And there's all these women. So we're in this circle and we're doing this thing. And like every time I step, she steps. Every time I step back, she steps back. Every time I step in twice, she steps in twice. And it really had me understand like the attunement of my intuition and where I'm connected to people on a soul level because we're having mirroring journeys. And so having you girls do that at Mommy Millionaire was so powerful because, you know, at a self-development or a business conference where it's not really a lot of spirituality, it's all this comparisonitis and like, should I be doing this? What do they think of me? Blah, blah, blah. But when you get in a group like that and you circle up and everyone is like seeing how they resonate with each other, it changes the vibration. Now, all of a sudden we're team. Now it's inclusivity. And now we're sisters. I see you. I've been hurt too. I've been raped too. I'm broke too. I'm angry too. My dad's an asshole too. And it has you feeling a deeper level of support to continue in your journey and your progress.
Yeah. I'm like getting emotional because I'm like, one, on my period, but two, I'm like thinking of that day and it was just so powerful. It was so powerful for me. No, it really is just such like to feel like you're not alone. And that was it. What you did for us was just very beautiful. I'm like, I'll be emotional about it every time I talk about it. It was so
Thank you so much.
Yeah, it really was. It was so neat. And, you know, just witnessing. I remember, I think Kayla was behind me. And Kayla was the one that, you know, was hosting the event. She's actually been on my podcast before. But she was behind me. And I remember you said something. I think you like, you know, messaged to the girl that was in the middle. And when she said something about the sexual trauma and like, it was like I felt like the entire circle took a step. And I turned around and looked at Kayla and I was like, are you kidding me? Like, and both of us just started crying. And I was like, oh my God, this is insane. Like, but
because we don't know.
Yeah.
We don't know. And we go and this is how we're socially conditioned. We're vetted against each other.
Yeah.
It's like, and I mean, even like in my own home, so talking about our parents, like my mom grew up telling me like women are evil, they'll stab you in the back, blah, blah, blah. I had to completely like heal and shift the sister wound. And I've been betrayed and I've been things, but like maintaining faith that there's good people and there's people that actually love you is it's huge. And we're not taught that. We're taught competitiveness. We're taught like who's going to be prettier, who's going to be stronger, who, like why does it have to be this or that? We can all be.
Yeah.
We
Absolutely.
can all be. And part of the divine feminine rising is not rising for the purpose of overpowering the masculine. It's rising in our own right, in our own birthright, to be like in like convene in sisterhood and like actually have someone's back. Like not say you do and then talk behind it, but like really do. Well, so when you do an exercise like that, it's a vibrational thing. You feel it. There's no hiding it. Like you said, I felt everyone move in.
Yeah.
There's a resonance there. And that's why those kind of exercises are so powerful.
So powerful. Oh my God. It was so needed. I mean, I think that was honestly it, like Kayla bringing you and a handful of the other healers, into the circle, into the conference was just it made it so much more impactful and just empowering, I believe. Like, had it just been all like strategy driven, I mean, I don't remember the people who spoke on strategy. Don't remember them. It was all the people who had these just powerful, like connecting experiences for us. And
so going back to the truth of a thing is how you feel about it.
Yeah.
And if you think about the most famous people in the world, Tony Robbins, think about Will Smith, think about Robin Williams.
Yeah.
They're state changers. That's what they are.
Yeah.
Someone changes your state of being and makes you feel a thing, you remember them.
Yeah. Absolutely.
And what a lot of people didn't know, and I can share now, is Kayla was my private client at the time. So even though I spoke at the event and she brought me in to activate, I was her private medicine woman. So I was like in her room in the mornings, moving through energy work with her, like releasing doubts, releasing fears, releasing insecurities, because we are all human.
Right. Absolutely.
I don't know if she pooped that morning or not. I'm not going to pretend to know, but I'm going to guess that sometime that weekend she did. Yeah. But when people get in the audience and they see her up there and they see her leading, they get this image of, okay, I need to pedestal somebody. And that's not what it's about. Like, she's not up there to be idolized. She's up there because she's serving.
Yeah, absolutely.
She's serving from her heart.
Mm-hmm.
And Kayla is beautiful. She's blonde. She's wealthy. She's all of these things. And I've seen people have an image of her as this, that, or the other. But like knowing her intimately and working with her intimately, like she has, like, most importantly and foremost, a heart of service.
Yeah.
To help everyone in the audience change their life.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm. And I don't even know why that came up, but I just felt like loving on Kayla a little bit. So.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Because I'm sure that I had those. I'm sure maybe us all women, I feel like we do that. We'll look at someone. Oh, yeah. Speaking of, so I was actually, although I had obviously attended the conference, I've like talked to Kayla before, like, not just been like on Zoom, like I have been in her presence multiple times. Right. But I asked her to be on the podcast when I first started it last year. And I was like really nervous to have her on. And like, I mean, like shaky nervous. I'm like, what is wrong? Like, why am I doing this? Like, you've talked to this woman before, it's not like Oprah Winfrey, but even if it was, like, why are you nervous? Like, you stop, So it was like so funny. And then we get on and she immediately is having like microphone, like technical difficulties. And all of a sudden my like nervousness just completely went away. And I was like, of course, she's freaking human. Like, I was just maybe expecting it to just be like, she was just so perfect. Right.
And
like,
the nerves too comes back to what we talked about in the beginning of this podcast, is like the mirror for potential.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah. It's like this anxiousness of like seeing what's possible for your life.
Right. That's exactly what it was. It was. I was like, thank goodness she's not perfect. But we're all perfectly imperfect. And yeah, but that it's true. I had her on a pedestal, but that was the lesson. Like, I needed to see that. She was like, I'm so sorry. I was like, don't what? Like, it's fine. It's cool.
Like, it's cool. I can relax now.
Yeah, I can relax now. But I think it was so funny because like I had even had, I mean, granted, I may have been like a little nervous with this other girl who actually is like an actress, Annalyn McCord. I had her on the show, and I was nervous to talk to her, but I don't know, but not the way that I was with Kayla. And it was so, and I'd never talked to Annalyn before. Like I've seen her on 90210, Nip Tuck. Like, you know, it's like, she's a celebrity that I have put on a pedestal before, but I don't know, it was just like a different energy. And I was just like, wow,
yeah. Well, because you're seeing the potential for your life.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, yeah.
So cool. Anyways, oh my goodness. So this has been wonderful. I mean, I know I can like talk to you forever and ever and ever. But I do have another call in like 15 minutes. So
no, it's amazing. I appreciate it. We were all over the board, but it was like so needed.
Yeah, it was. I know that it resonates. And, you know, sometimes I want to say this too to my listeners, because I don't know, you know, necessarily like, I know you would ask me it before coming on, you're like, you know, who is your audience? And I'm like, you know, I don't know exactly. Like, I know it's an age range and like demographic like wise, but like, are they more like entrepreneurial? Are they more, you know, is it just everyone from the show, like just coming here to support me? I don't really know. If you want to send me a message and let me know why you're listening to my podcast, that'd be great. But you know, I feel that it's these types of conversations though, that can, even if you're not resonating right now, it's opening your mind and your consciousness to maybe resonate later. And I think that that's a really beautiful thing. So I love having conversations and just letting them flow to wherever they go. When I first started the show, I think the first like 3 guests that I had on, I had like prepared notes beforehand of like what to ask, and just because it was like my first interviews, you know. But then I was like, no, I'm not doing it. I'm a people person. I like talking. I like connecting and communicating with people. So I want to say maybe 2 of the 60, 50 something guests that I've had, I felt like in my head, I was like, crap, like, what am I going to ask them next? You know, but then it just channeled through me and I took off. Like, it was fine. But yeah.
It's always going to be perfect. Exactly what your audience needs. And like referring back to the beginning of the podcast, the humanness is part of walking your talk. Like you're experiencing and expressing like unapologetically, truthfully, authentically. And that's key. Yeah. And you're doing it with grace. So yeah, Spirit's always going to move through you the way it needs to go.
Absolutely.
I'm so proud of you and I'm so excited for you. And I can't wait to watch the new show. And I would love to catch up some time off podcast and just find out all the things.
Absolutely. I would love that too. We'll tell everyone where they can find you and discover more about you.
So you can find me on themissjordan.com. My website's not always up to date. I just don't care.
Yeah.
You know, most of my clients come from word of mouth, and it's a different type of client. But you can follow me on Instagram, The Miss Jordan on Instagram. And I would love for you to share that you heard me on the podcast and what resonated with you most. I don't have any. I have a leadership embodiment experience coming up in February in Mexico. And then I have a co-ed conscious leader experience coming up in Costa Rica in August.
Amazing.
But that's really all I have going on, other than some other events that I'm going to speak at. And I can't share all of them out loud right away, but you can continue to look at my Instagram and see where I'm going to be speaking. And if you want to come get activated in person, then do that.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Like I said, I mean, she is a state changer herself, because that's what she did to me. So
awesome. Well, thank you so much, Kelly. I appreciate everything. And it was really fun to be here. I love when I can really connect in, and you're so open and it flowed so nice. So awesome.
Thank you. Amazing. Yay. Thank you. If you loved this episode, please download, share, rate, and review. If you are ready to step into that next level version of you and grow your business and bank account, it's time to unleash your goddess magic and chase life with Kelly. You can start this epic expansion journey by diving into the Goddess Magic course bundle found at chaselifetogether.com. Please connect with me on Instagram at chaselifewithkelly. Join the Chase Life with Kelly Facebook community and subscribe to my YouTube channel. Till next time, create the life you crave, babe, and chase life with Kelly.